songs they have sung for 1,000 years. You're not going to use that, man. You're not using that. Dude, you're not using that. We're here with the new KTM 390 Adventure, almost to Palmdale, California, not quite. Found some little dirt roads up in here. The bike is all new. I only crashed it one time today. That's pretty unusual for me, really. It says a lot for the bike, and really wasn't even my fault, but more about that later. I think I was expecting the 390 Adventure to be a little bit smaller and softer and kind of a more of a play bike. But this thing is really, when I first saw it, I was pretty amazed. It's a pretty substantial motorcycle. The frame from the thing, the chromoly steel frames derived from 790 Adventure, as well as KTM's 450 rally bike. It's a little bit shorter than the 790 Adventure. The seat's just about as high. They're both like 33.5 inches tall. I think it's the WP Apex fork off the 790 Adventure, which is a 43 millimeter inverted fork. You can adjust compression on one side, rebound damping on the other side, and the shock is a good WP shock too. I think there's like 7 inches of travel in the front and about 7 inches, a little bit less in the rear. It's a pretty firm motorcycle. On the road you can feel it's pretty firm, and when you get off the road, start pounding through some rocks and stuff, the thing is pretty well suspended. It doesn't give up the ship immediately, and it feels like could go through some pretty gnarly terrain on it. The beauty of it for me is that KTM says it weighs 367 pounds with 3.8 gallons of gas in it, and that's really I think for the 790 Adventure they claim 417 pounds, so that's 50 pounds more, but they claim that's dry with no gas in it. So this thing is, even though it's got the suspension, if not quite as good as the 790 Adventure, it's damn close, and it's got all the good parts on it. It's got a TFT display, a 5-inch TFT display. It's got lean sensitive ABS, and the ABS has pretty easy to switch into off-road mode, which means you can lock up the back tire when you're going down a steep hill to keep yourself from going too fast. Works pretty good. Got a bi-bray 4-piston caliper on the 320 millimeter disc on the front. It stops really hard. I can get the tire howling before the ABS even comes in. In fact, I felt like I was braking hard enough. I'd never felt the ABS kick in at all when it was on road mode. It's kind of amazing when you're coming also down steep rocky sections back there. The front brake at the same time has enough sensitivity that you can feel your way down a rocky trail without locking the thing up. It's pretty amazing how well that worked. For tires, we got Continental's new TKC 70s, which are supposed to kind of bridge the gap between the TKC 80, which all the adventure guys love, but they didn't get many miles out of those things at all. So the TK 70s are supposed to be offer almost as much traction, and they're supposed to last a lot longer too. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. See, the wheels are cast, so there's no tubes in there. You can plug it with a plug if you have a problem. And Continental says the tires are like 60-40 road biased. I rode the thing over roads, Angeles Crest, Angeles Forest, to get here this morning. Seems like the tires have plenty of traction for riding on the street, or you don't want to go too fast because you can't see around the corners anyway, can you? You'd be a fool. So yeah, about the only complaint that we're going to have about this thing, I'm sorry Ryan Adams didn't get to have an exotic vacation in Morocco to go on the launch, but because of the COVID-19, we're kind of all on lockdown. The good part of that was I got to go to KTM's headquarters out in Murrieta last week and pick the bike up, which was cool because I rode home on it, and it ran great. We've known and loved the 390 engine in the Duke and in the RC 390 lots of times. It's a great little single dual counterbalance, so it makes like the last one we ran in the Duke made 42 horsepower at the rear wheel at about 9,000 RPM and about 26 foot-pounds of torque around 7,000 RPM. So it's it's a powerful little engine for being a small thumper, and it ran great when I was riding the bike home from Murrieta. There's no cars on the road, and one deserted stretch I saw about 100 miles an hour on the speedometer. It's nice and smooth even up there, but it's happy to run at 6,500 RPM at 80 miles an hour. It gets like 60 miles per gallon too. But the thing that happened then was that we strapped the bike onto the MotoGP Works dynamometer to get a reading on that, and it wouldn't pull past 6,500 RPM. KTM told us you don't have the traction control turned off, but we turned the traction control off, and it's still, after we took it back off the dyno, it intermittently won't pull past 6,500 RPM. So I don't know if we broke something, or if the bike has some kind of a Volkswagen inspired, we're afraid of the EPA or something, and we think we're being tested. So I don't know what's going on with the ECU. And the reason I crashed on the hill was because I was going up it, and I got to 6,000 RPM and lost all power. I actually didn't crash going up. I crashed when I was rolling back down because I couldn't save myself. You can't see it. Over here's crash bar just like this one. And the tank's fine. We got not even any scratches on the tank. We did break our cheap little handguard in the end off the clutch lever. But I feel like if I'd been able to get my full Monty of 9,000 RPM, that hill wouldn't have been a problem at all. And I'm kind of bummed out because I think I really would have. Oh, you know what? Even only revving to 6,500, I still had a blast riding this bike around all day, which is saying something because it's only 373 cc's. It's only got one 89 millimeter piston, but it's still got pretty good mid range, and you can still go, down some roads as long as they're not steep. Anyhow, this thing is not a toy by any means. And the other amazing thing about it, compared to the bigger 790 Adventure, is the price tag. $61.99 is like, I think it's a little bit less than half of the base model 790 Adventure. So I mean, it's got like most of the stuff the 790 Adventure has. Its electronic suite is probably not quite as advanced as what's on the 790, but it makes 42 horsepower, so it doesn't need all that traction control, even though it's got a road traction control and an off-road traction control. The other thing that's kind of a drag about it is that every time you turn the key off, even if you turn off the switch, then you have to go back in again and turn the traction control off again, because with its traction control on, it really won't get out of its own way in the dirt for some reason. So there's maybe some electronic stuff going on, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of that over the next week or two, and we'll report back. Aside from that, the rest of the bike is really more than I expected. I didn't expect it to be this capable. I'm the world's worst off-road rider, but even with riding this thing around, 367 pounds, after a while I kind of started feeling pretty confident on it, and like I was looking at things I could go there on this motorcycle, and that's a thought that never occurs to me on a BMW 1250 GS or anything. So if you're just getting started, I think it'd be a great way to get into adventure biking. Or if you're like me, you're just not very good at it and you want to be able to pick yourself up when you fall off, there's that too. Even though it's ride-by-wire, there's no cruise control on here. I don't believe it's an option, although there are a bunch of other options KTM has for the bike. Anyway, we hope they iron out what's wrong with it. We hope we can figure out what's wrong with it, and we'll certainly report back. But aside from that, fantastic little motorcycle to me, and the top of the small adventure bike class kind of instantly, as much as little Ryan Adams like the 790 Adventure. I think this thing is just as cool in the small adventure bike niche, which it kind of almost has to itself, doesn't it? Are there other small adventure bikes? Not really, hardly at all. So yeah, it was great to be able to get out of the house anyway. I'm sorry if you're cooped up. I was uncooped for a day. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you don't, I don't know what to say. Tune in next time. Oh, don't forget to read the print story over at Motorcycle.com, which will be up maybe, well, we don't know when it'll be up, but it'll be up, and we'll try to get to the bottom of the electronic stuff in print, even if we don't make another video anytime soon. See you later.